Wife cheated on me a few months after our wedding. She is the only one I've ever dated or fully trusted. So now I just can't trust anyone. After giving my full trust to someone just once and having it broken. Not worth it. Dated a narcissist for 3 years who told me I love you every single day. Then used her supremely good acting skills to make me think things were real when really she was just a cheating whore the literal entire time we dated. OFC ending up with the guy she told me to not worry about for 3 years. I joked that he was her second boyfriend. Joke's on me. That was what I was. He didn't even live in the same fucking country as us. At the end of our relationship she literally used me as the cameraman to take sexy pictures to send to my replacement. Got me all riled up then pretended they were for me. Yay. You thought cheating was the most evil shit you could do to someone you are in a relationship with. Wrong. 8 years of bullying 8 different bullies, about 1/3 of my grade, many years of crying myself to sleep, them taking my things and claiming ignorance, the staff never helping, and even were on the side of the bullies cause they were in more important sports than me. My getting bruises put on my legs and the principal telling my mother that I did it to hurt the football team, and the boys me finding out that one of the teachers who I found peace confiding in was a perv, never laid a hand on me or any other student, and then me changing schools in the progress finding out I have PTSD. Then finding out my cross-country coach was a child *RN distributor. Then one of my many bullies transferred over to my new safe haven, corrupting it. TLDR, many bullies. 8 years of hell. School claims it never happened and that I faked it. Changed school. Found out I have PRSD. Found out I had 2 pervert teachers, one was nice but not too bad with what he did. The other perv sold pictures of me and my cross-country team. One of my bullies transferred over to my new school. I was heavily bullied during my teen years to the point I almost committed suicide. I went to this phase where I can protect myself by being the lone wolf. When people try to show interest in me, whether it's just to get to know me or just making conversation, I don't really share much because anything I might say would be used against me. My high school did that to humiliate me. When I meet new people, it's probably because they need something from me or just figuring out how to break me to use me to their advantage. Most likely because of my parents. They always say stuff behind their backs about one another to me and told me to keep it a secret. And if I tell them something and say to keep it a secret, I ended up having to explain to the other parent about it. Fell in love with my therapist. She strung me along for months with a promise of friendship after she took her new job, and then said we couldn't ever speak to each other again and left me to pick up the pieces alone. My next therapist would just tell me I needed to get over it instead of helping me work through my feelings. Looking back, I definitely said some things indicative of transference, which my first therapist should have recognized as red flags and addressed early on. I should have also acknowledged when I no longer thinking of her as my therapist and done the right thing by finding a new one. I'm pretty ashamed of myself and how I handled it. In the end it took me about 4 years to get over that loss. Mostly because my second therapist made me feel like I couldn't talk about it. So I clammed up about it. Even 5 years into working with my third therapist. But I finally reached a point where I was ready to throw out the mementos I kept of my first therapist. And did so earlier this week. I still struggle to trust people, though. And every new relationship I've made in the past 4 years has given me unmanageable anxiety. I'm just afraid of being hurt that badly again. I learned easily that if I'm gonna enter any relationship with anybody, I have to be able to find a way for me to turn the tables on them in case anything goes wrong before I can trust them. It's hard to put into words, but I won't trust anyone until I know for a fact that I can take advantage of them or anything important to them anytime. That's how I believe the world works. I trusted some adults around me to do the right thing when I was a child. People who I loved very much, and they didn't. Trust comes with time though. When you have more control over your own life, it can be easier to trust certain people. Dated more than one woman who didn't think they needed to mention that we weren't exclusive. The worst of these was someone I'd been good friends with for over 15 years. Since my teens. And had been actively pursuing me strongly for 3 months. The weekend before we first spent the night, she went to a former colleague's house party and slept with him. When she finally told me, I was blown away and, overly generous, offered her time to get her head straight about him before we considered pursuing anything. She suggested we shouldn't place those sort of restrictions on things. I've not spoken to her since. I'm now happily married, and I trust my wife completely, but that sort of thing sticks with you when you see things happening with your friends or colleagues. Why should I tell you?